Okay, good morning, folks. Welcome to the Tuesday, July 28th, 2020 Working Group Component Standard meeting. Today, Joe Cerci, also known as Phoenix Blue, is on our agenda, and he's going to be talking about object meta in component configs. So we'll just give Joe a minute here to get set up. And then Joe, let me give you, I can give you ability to screen share too.
Okay.
By making you a co-host. And then before you share your screen, just remember, like, close anything that's possibly sensitive.
Sure.
Yeah.
Trying to get my keyboard to connect, which it's not doing very well at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had to plug my I've got one of those magic trackpads, but
Yeah.
I have to plug it into my laptop because there's some bug in Chrome with like two-factor auth with security keys, where if I have Bluetooth turned on, it thinks that I'm trying to use a Bluetooth security key, and it crashes Chrome for some reason every time I hit a two-factor screen.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've got the magic trackpad, magic keyboard. Trackpad does pretty well, but the keyboard from time to time just doesn't reconnect back to my laptop. Let me get
Gotcha.
the PR up here. So I'll share my screen now.
Great.
Let me know if you guys can't see it.
Looks good to me.
All right. So I went through and I did another round of updates to address some of the initial comments that you had, Michael. And I think for those that I like marked as resolved, I think that those are pretty good. I did go back in and I adjusted the scope of the fields that we're targeting to address name only after some of the discussions that you and I had and the comments from Jordan and such. So that's been updated. Some of these, though, were I either didn't understand which direction you were trying to go in, or wasn't sure if like needed to knock them out now before this gets approved. So the testing guidelines piece, this was one where I believe this is like noted to sorry.
Yeah, so what I was thinking for tests, I just want to make sure we check the boxes. So
Yeah, so
um,
that particular piece was like noted that like it's not really required until we get to like the implementation phase. So I think reading through the like workflows and stuff, that's like past the kept being accepted and approved.
oh,
Um,
that's, yeah, I suppose that's true. We can merge it as provisional, and then
yeah, so that's one I just didn't know if you specifically were wanting like the test plan to be like completed before that, or if that was
yeah,
still okay.
if we want to just like accelerate it and merge it as provisional, I guess that's fine. But honestly, I like, you could just say we're just going to reuse the existing tests and like make sure they're also testing object meta, and that would probably be sufficient for this.
Okay, all right. And that's where like my next question was kind of around what you meant by the round trip testing there, but I think that clears it up if you're just saying reuse the existing testing for component config for each
Yeah.
config. Okay.
Yeah, all the round trip, there are more tests than the round trip tests, but that's one of the major ones, and that just takes it through the conversions through different versions and makes sure that it doesn't corrupt anything.
Okay. And then that kind of leads to the next piece. So I think I updated this as far as the scope and making the comment that this is already matches a subset of the RDGA object meta schema. And this is just for tool compatibility. Um, and then, so some of these questions around, if applicable, how will the component be upgraded or downgraded? In this case, since we were kind of talking about supporting both with object meta and without object meta for at least some time period, I wasn't sure if it was relevant to note that here, or exactly how that might fit into this
Yeah,
section.
it would be a good idea to at least have a note that just sort of says, like, just think through the scenario. Okay, we're going to add a field to the API. That's a pretty typical thing that we do. Um, we're pretty sure this will be a backwards compatible change and like be compatible with other tooling. We're also pretty sure that it's required to maintain compatibility with tooling once we turn on strict decoding, right?
Okay, and that's, where like Jordan's comment here around accepting but ignoring the object meta fields. I wasn't sure if the target here, like if he had issue with kind of the lenient path there, and wanted us
I
to go to more of a strict path, or
think that's what he's saying, and I think that's what we're trying to do by implementing this. Like, it allows us to go to the strict path without breaking people. I mean, it'd be worth pinging him on Slack and just kind of saying, hey, like, I didn't really understand your comment.
okay,
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
right.
Jordan's a nice guy. He'll help you. Um,
So the version skew strategy, this was one where uh like reading through it, it seemed really, I don't know, like the fact that we're talking about component configs here versus kind of like component, like changes to the components themselves was kind of dicey, and understanding exactly how
mm.
to fit in to answer some of these.
Yeah, some of them you can probably just put like not applicable for.
Okay.
Um, it's more just to go through the exercise of thinking about it.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I think what was the cap I wrote? There's probably some examples of kind of thinking about it for config in that instance specific config cap
Okay.
um,
I'll check that out.
that I wrote, but it's mostly just trying to think like, all right, people are gonna upgrade. Just write a sentence that like tells me why it's not gonna break.
Okay.
And it could be as simple as, well, it's just a new field in the API. It's optional to set it, and so it wouldn't break. And then if you have to write for downgrades too, then you say like, well, if somebody downgrades today, it wouldn't break because we have the lenient path. But and in the future when we turn on the strict path, then that is a concern somebody might have to be aware of. But that'll be done across a version boundary, so it'll be more explicit, and something like that.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Um, Yeah, some of the stuff here around the like kind of feature enable disable didn't seem super applicable, um, especially for the time being since there's lenient path. So like some of these, I just kind of put that in there, to kind of spell that out in a simplistic way. Um, so I don't know if you've been able to go through and kind of look at some of the most recent changes to see.
I'll take another run today at it.
I think those were the big items. Yeah, and then the only other thing was based on, like, you had one comment there, where I think you had asked out to somebody else to kind of confirm if stable seemed more correct here, since the component config APIs were, and object meta in general, like, were things that already kind of existed and were stable. So it was initially marked as alpha. I didn't see any other responses there, so I went ahead and set it to stable.
Yeah, I think that's stable or beta. But well, yeah, probably. I don't think there are any like V1 component config APIs. I think
Yeah.
the most stable one is kubelets, which is at beta. So we could probably put beta there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think that covers most of the questions that I had on this stuff. Just kind of
Cool.
looking to hopefully move it a little more forward, especially now since it's kind of trimmed down to just name the
Yeah,
objects.
yeah, it shouldn't be too complicated to go from here. All right, Joe, I'll take another run at this later today, just to address some of those new changes.
Thanks.
Thank you. Cool. All right, so that was our only agenda item for this morning. Does anybody else have anything they would like to talk about?
Thanks for taking care of this, Kep. Appreciate it, Jeff.
You bet. Sorry, it's taken quite a while on this one.
No apologies needed.
No worries. Yep. As long that's kind of the story of our working group anyway. As long as stuff eventually gets done, we're like the eventually consistent group. So
Yeah, there's high consistency and there's eventual consistency, high availability. But have you ever thought about eventual availability?
That's good.
That came up on one of the recent Coop Friends hangouts.
Yeah, or Sig Friday.
Yeah.
Funny. Yeah, but thank you, Joe. All right, I'll give everyone back a little bit of time in their lives here, and I'll see folks in office hours who are interested in chatting there.
Thanks all. Bye.
Take care.